Hi, it's Howard Scher, and welcome to the next episode of Quality Homes Seminar Series. Today's topic is one that's very near and dear to our hearts at Quality Homes, and it's about energy performance of the homes we build. We're really privileged to have a special guest join us today, and one of Canada's leading experts in building energy performance and indoor air quality. Welcome, Gord Cooke, President of Building Knowledge Canada.
Oh, thanks very much, Howard. That's very kind of you, and nice to see you, at least in this virtual format.
Yes, it is good to see you. Gord, we've been doing a lot of work together over a lot of years. Remind me of our history and how we first started working together.
That's a really interesting question, Howard, because it's actually when I was a very young guy, as a young engineer back in the mid 80s, I was helping promote a program called the R2000 program, which was the culmination of all the early research that Canada had done on energy efficient housing. And I was trying to promote that to builders. And you can imagine how difficult that might be for, say, a rural builder accumulating their trades. So when I first happened across your facility there in just south of Mount Forest, understanding as a young engineer how powerful it would be, how easy it would be for you guys to implement the kinds of changes that were required. And so I've been very pleased to work with you guys since the mid 80s implementing energy efficiency strategies.
Yeah, it's really been a great relationship, and we've achieved some spectacular results. Gord, I think most people don't really understand or comprehend that the house is a working system. You know, we want our homes to be warm in winter and cool in summer, and the air quality be good. We don't want to really overpay for it. So, you know, can you give us a little background in the science of how houses actually work?
Yeah, again, really interesting. You know, Canada's actually the leader in what's called now building science. It wasn't a term at that time. In the mid 70s, many on this who listening in will recall the oil embargoes, and Canada embarked in about $75 million worth of research to really understand how houses worked. And of course, at that time, everybody thought, well, heat rises. Well, it turns out that's not exactly true. Warm air rises. But because we thought heat rises, we put all our insulation in the attics, and then well, actually, that's only part of the equation. Now we have to put more insulation in walls. Now we have to put more in basements. But as you do each of those pieces, you start to realize the synergistic effects. That is, if I start insulating my buildings more, then I don't need as big a heating or cooling system. Oh, so my furnace has to get smaller. So that's part of the system. Another interesting fact is when you add insulation to walls, you stop the flow of heat, which sounds like a really good thing. But heat is really good at getting buildings dry. So if I have less heat flow through my walls, I have to do a better job of making sure I don't have water coming into the house. So what we call house system was actually a phrase that was coined by two separate building scientists in Canada to understand that everything impacts everything else. More insulation means smaller heating systems. Smaller heating systems means my system doesn't run as often, and therefore I have to have better air distribution techniques. Better windows means I don't have as much air conditioning load, but I have to dehumidify my houses. Everything impacts everything else. House is a system.
It seems the overall objective is to achieve a higher levels of energy performance, thereby reducing utility bill costs. You know, can you outline some more of the benefits to the homeowner in terms of finances, quality of life, you know, all the things that, you know, spending more time in our homes than ever before, pandemic or otherwise, what are those benefits from the systems, Gord?
Well, and again, most interesting of all, we started this journey on energy efficiency, and then we started to realize, everything we do for energy efficiency also improves the health, safety, durability, and comfort of a home. Let me give you a quick example, very simple example. Insulation stops the flow of heat. Heat is an energy source, that is energy. If I'm stopping the flow of heat energy, I wonder what else I'm stopping. Well, I'm stopping the flow of sound energy. So the more insulation I put in the building, the quieter the building is. Oh, that's really interesting. And if I add more insulation at the same time, house as a system would say, I really don't want air leakage through my walls, because if I had air leakage, I'd have moisture in my walls. So simultaneously, I'm going to insulate houses and I'm going to make them more airtight, get rid of the unwanted air leaks. Well, unwanted air leaks also not only let in cold air, but they let in bugs, they let in dust, they let in pollen. Oh, so I make my house more energy efficient, but at the same time, I make it quieter and I make it healthier because the air inside my home is easier to control in terms of air quality. So simultaneously, more energy efficient, but what we started to learn, more importantly, homeowners started to go, it may be more energy efficient, but it's also quieter, safer, healthier, more comfortable, and actually have to do less maintenance on my house. I don't have condensation issues. And that's been one of the most exciting parts. Interesting enough, Howard, you will know this. This all started in Canada, but they're actually doing as much of this in the United States as they are in Canada. And they're not selling it on energy efficiency. They're selling it on these other great benefits that you get out of a high performance home.
Yeah, so interesting. So, these are a lot of subjective terms that you're using, Gord. So obviously people want to now start quantifying them and understanding them. So can you explain the testing and validation process that Building Knowledge does on our homes and how we quantify that for our homeowners?
And that's the engineer in me for sure. I was really attracted to one of the benefits of that. I mentioned that energy efficiency program back in the 80s that's now transitioned into the Energy Star program, which you guys have endorsed over the years. So our 2000 Energy Star. One of the nicest parts about that is we actually do have ways of measuring and validating the performance. First thing is we take the plans that you guys develop, your standard models and then your custom models, and we immediately input them onto a computer program. We build the house on the screen, if you will. How much insulation, how big's the house, how much insulation's in the ceiling, how much insulation in the walls. It's a program called HOT 2000. It was developed by Natural Resources Canada, still maintained. It's considered one of the most accurate energy models, simulation models in the world. And it gives us a picture of where the energy goes. You will know your folks like to use it because it helps you make cost-effective decisions. Again, everybody feels like, well, I'll put more insulation in the attic, that'll work. But at some point you go, if you went outside on your own and on a cold winter's day, you put on one hat, you're still cold, you put on a second hat, you put on a third hat, and you start to realize, enough with the hats, let's get to the jacket, let's get to the pants, let's get to the boots. Yeah, finding that right, what we call optimization of the right amount, the cost-effective amount, and no better than Quality Homes in your facility to be able to take advantage of that, right? You guys have the wherewithal, the facility to do that. So that's the first level, is to model the energy performance, help you find the most cost-effective decisions for your customers. So powerful. And now, of course, we want to validate in the field. And hopefully you don't mind me mentioning the blower door test, which you guys have always been so good at. I traveled for years and years personally. I personally did hundreds of blower door tests on Quality Homes all over Southern Ontario, or well, as you guys, even Northern Ontario. And we put this big fan in the front door and exhaust air out. Now, you guys have already done your work in the factory and tried to simulate the performance of houses, but we get to do actually in situ on site. So once you've set the modules, we get to do this test. And what it does is it puts basically a 40-kilometer-an-hour wind on all sides of the house at one time, and validates that you guys in your facility did all the work that was necessary. And what I got to say to you, was always so satisfying to me that I knew, because of your facility and your workmanship, no house were ever going to fail. So I did the drive. I always pleased to show homeowners, look at this. This is incredible that you have this performance that you're able to predict, but more importantly, predict and validate. And then we can issue a report, a licensed report, or at least an accredited report that shows the energy performance, the overall energy performance of the house. Kind of a cool process.
Yeah, it's it's so nice for homeowners just to receive some quantification of how their home is performing versus the industry standard. And I imagine, not to knock the stick-built industry, but I imagine they have a much more difficult time in constructing. We have all this precision, and all of our indoor systems allow us to be so precise and exact. Doing it in the field must require a whole lot more caution and work to achieve the air tightness results that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's challenging. You can imagine, Howard, I work with a lot of great builders who work really, really hard to achieve those results, but there's no two ways about it. It's challenging for them to get there. And from my perspective, what we really need to know is most builders actually aren't doing this testing, this validation. So just even a builder who says, I just want to validate my performance, I think that's powerful. The building codes so far do not require these kinds of tests or checks. You say, well, isn't everybody doing this? I think it's fascinating. 28 US states now require this kind of testing. Canada actually doesn't require this testing. So they do visual inspections, which is great. The local building official comes out and has a look on any given day and does some inspections. But you guys in your facility, of course, are constantly doing those. And then you're doing this validation measuring of performance, which I think is so important. And again, I have the confidence that it's just because of your quality assurance procedures in your facility, it's never an issue. It works really well. It's a nice validation for your folks that, yep, we did another one right. That's just a cool way to think.
Yeah, no, it's something we take a lot of pride in, Gord, and we don't charge our homeowners for it, yet we do it on every single home that we build anywhere in the province. And as you said, it gives us the R&D moving forward, and it certainly gives our homeowners the comfort that they're getting an airtight home. So we were very proud to receive an Air Tightness Champion award from Building Knowledge Canada last year for our performance in 2020. How did we stack up versus industry averages, versus our peers, and versus some of the better builders around the province?
Yeah, it is really cool. You can imagine, because that blower door becomes kind of the face of energy efficiency, builders see the big red door coming and they all want to do better. You're like any other builder. You want to do as well as you can. So we test as a company about 5,000 to 6,000 houses a year across Southern Ontario, working with 70 to 80 different builders. And we're always looking for the builder who's able to get to that tightest level. And of course, it's just one measure of performance, but it is a definable measure. And so if I could put into context, old houses, you think about the size of the hole in the house. I always joke. My brother lives, he always gives me a hard time when I tell these stories, and here we're going to be on a podcast, and yet again, his house is going to be mentioned. But I was doing this testing on the house and showing him the numbers. He said, I don't really understand those numbers. Can you put it in layman's terms? I said, Jim, if we took all the holes in your house and put them into one spot, I pointed to his front door. I said, be roughly the size of that open door. He goes, oh, geez. And immediately he said to me, think that's where the mice are coming in? I said, yeah, exactly. That's exactly where the mice are coming in. And he spent about $4,000 or $5,000 trying to reduce that leakage. And in fact, he was able to cut it in half to the size of an open window. And then you start imagining, a new code-built house is probably the size of a window pane. Think about a 8.5 by 11 page, maybe a little bigger than that. That's if you were testing houses. And I said many builders don't bother to test, but if you're testing houses, take all the holes in the house, put them into one spot, and you guys are down around the size of a Christmas card envelope. It's really quite remarkable. And I gotta say, in the years I've been working with Quality Homes, the kinds of homeowners, and certainly in the early days, a lot of, I'd drive up to the site and there'd be the old farmhouse that somebody's been living in forever, and they're building their new dream home beside it. And because of your process, people are able to take advantage of that. It's such a quick build. And I would have people say to me, so how do you like the old farmhouse? Well, it was nice, had a lot of character, but character means a lot of bugs and a lot of mice. And I said, isn't it nice to know? And cluster flies alone, some of you on this podcast listening will know what a cluster fly is. Just that alone was a huge selling feature for Quality Homes at that time, to say, yeah, in the spring, you don't have to worry about the bugs coming in. I just think that's such a powerful story. It was absolutely a valuable selling point. And remember, again, I said, it saves you energy, of course, but what's more important on any day? Is it the energy efficiency or the fact that there's, and you ask my brother, it's all about no mice in the house.
Yeah, exactly. So Gord, now we're creating, or we do create this really airtight home. How am I getting fresh air in? How am I moving air around, not getting stuffy? Because, in the old days, we opened a window and got lovely fresh air in. How do we create or achieve that effect?
And I really liked how you said that, Howard, because we need to remind ourselves, in the 70s, when this research was being done, we realized we needed to make houses tighter from an energy perspective. But at the same time, we kind of told people they should keep their windows closed to save energy. And those two things actually didn't work very well. So I need everybody to remember this. We used to ventilate our houses, not by holes in electrical outlets or around plumbing stacks. We used to ventilate our houses by opening windows. But because of noise and dust and security issues, well, I don't want to leave my windows open all the time. I mean, some people do, and that's fine. But on the days where I don't want to leave my windows open, it's not because I'm making houses tight, but just because I don't want to leave my windows open, I need a second ventilation system. And you guys are one of the first, and my trading area to adopt that, recognizing that because of your processes and because of the nature of your buyers, Quality Homes needs to provide two types of ventilation. One is great operable windows when you feel like you want to use those, but more importantly, on a continuous basis, what's called or become to be known heat recovery ventilator, which was a Canadian, basically a Canadian technology. My first introduction to the industry was actually designing these guys back in Saskatoon. And these are boxes, and all it is inside the box is two really nice, efficient fans. One bringing fresh air in, one taking stale air out. But because they're both in the same box, you have the ability, one, to filter the fresh air as it's coming in rather than coming in through a window or an electrical outlet. And two, you get the opportunity to recover the waste heat. So the exhaust air, rather than throwing out 22 degrees Celsius air, now I can recapture it through something very simple called a heat recovery ventilation core. It's just a flat plate heat exchanger on one side of a thin sheet, warm air on the other side of the thin sheet, cold air, and it recovers 70 to 80%. So your homeowners have the ability to now control the air in their home. By all means, open the windows if you'd like, but when on the days where you don't like to open a window, here's this really nice, efficient, fresh, we like to call them whole house fresh air systems. The technical term is heat recovery ventilator. That's the engineer in me. But from a benefits perspective, whole house fresh air system, wow, what could be better than that? And going back to that whole equation of safer, healthier, more durable, that increases the health, the safety, the comfort, the durability, and the energy efficiency for the house, while still allowing you the ability, when you want, to open windows. So that's really nice. And as I say, you guys are one of the first to embrace that back in the 80s. Of course, our clients are going to want the ability to have fresh air on a continuous basis.
Yeah, no, it's really important. Again, spending that much more time in our homes, working from home, it's so much more important than ever before. Gord, so doing this work and becoming an air tightness champion, are you seeing increases in value in terms of resale of homes because it's better built, because the utility costs are lower?
Absolutely. These are hard to define. As we know, in your trading area, the price of houses is going up dramatically anyway in these markets. So it's hard to define, but absolutely there's been studies shown in the United States and other places that these houses sell quicker and they sell for slightly more dollars. So you get to enjoy the benefits while you're in the house, but when you go to sell your home, and it really comes down to that, I'll call it the labeling, the validation, right? That's something you can show to folks and say, see, it's not just us. We've enjoyed this home. You're going to enjoy it too. But here's a label of this house. And the legislation's been written. We all envision in very short order, there will be a labeling requirement for houses upon sale, existing housing. And your houses are already labeled, showing their energy performance. And that's going to really stand the test of time as we move forward here, where everybody's going to be more concerned about those energy costs. So I think that's valuable to think about the future and the value of your home, maintaining the value of your home.
So about the future, Gord, we kind of met over the R2000 program back in the day. We subscribed to Energy Star. We've noticed that the building code is way more progressive now in terms of energy efficiency than it is in structural, because the structure of houses is really sound now. It's they're well built. So it just seems that the compliance is moving towards the next level, which is
net zero energy construction. That is net zero energy, meaning a house that on average over the course of the year only uses as much energy as it's able to produce itself on site. This was actually a concept that was endorsed or posited by the American Institute of Architects, called the 2030 Challenge. And the architects industry said by the year 2030, it shall be possible to build any building to a standard whereby it only uses as much energy as it's able to produce itself on site. What's really powerful is the National Building Code of Canada, which is the model code for all provinces. The National Building Code of Canada has now laid out the steps to get us to that point by the year roughly 2032. I should qualify that a little bit, get us to the point where the building itself is what we call net zero ready. That is, you as a builder's done everything you can do, and then it's just up to, say, the homeowner to decide to put solar panels on the roof to get it to the actual net zero level. But that's the notional goal. And what you guys have always found powerful is the R2000 program, the Energy Star program is always one step ahead of code. I think that's, Howard, why you guys have always been attracted to it. You know, you're doing long-term planning based on your facility. Wouldn't it be nice to know that whatever's happening in the code, we're always at least one step ahead? And so really, you know, you're about a step and a half now away from that net zero ready standard. You're very, very close. And again, my position would be you're in a better place to be able to implement this than the typical site builder, because you are able to do the research. And as you know, we report your numbers to you all the time, and you get to make your decisions off that and make sure you find the most cost effective for your home buyers to help make those decisions. But that's where we're headed by the year, let's say 2030, 2035. Imagine this, all new houses, net zero ready. Kind of a cool idea.
Oh, no, it's fantastic. And is it naive to say that my utility costs would be negligible at that point?
That's the point. I happen to, my brothers and I just built a cottage, and we built it as net zero and on a lake, and they were pleased to say that the bills, now you're still paying the metering charge, but the actual utilities, the number of gigajoules of energy you use, are actually zero. It's kind of cool. And it's on average, right? So during the winter, you're not generating much electricity off the solar panels, but in the summer, you're generating way more than you need. And the utilities in most locations are willing to accept that. I'll take power you generated in the summer. I'll hold on to it until you want to use it in the wintertime. And that's the concept of how these systems are working.
Fascinating. Well, Gord, you know, you've hit the nail on the head. It's definitely Quality Homes' intent to remain as an energy champion. It's it's in our R&D, it's in everything we're looking at going forward. We are starting to hear customers talking about net zero ready, which is great, means the word's getting out there. And we look forward to being a net zero champion when it becomes viable and optimal. And I think that 2030 is not that far away, and we're well on the road already. So I just see Quality Homes continuing to be striving to be an energy and air quality champion. Gord, can't thank you enough.
Oh, I was going to say that's exactly my point, that you guys are helping your clients make the right decision at the right time, right? Why aren't you doing it now? Well, because we're still working on the technology. Nobody's figured out the final steps of this. So just in that natural course of events, I love the fact that you're doing that R&D to help figure out when is the sweet spot, when do we do this?
Fantastic, Gord. I can't thank you enough. Your knowledge bank is immense. You're such a good resource to us to better our customers' home buying experience. Would you mind giving Building Knowledge's website and contact details in case people have questions of you?
Absolutely. Buildingknowledge.ca. You'll find some great resources, I would say, and go to the buildingknowledge.ca if people want to contact us. But I think they'll hopefully find the website useful. As you know, we're so pleased to work with you guys. It's been a great journey. And I love the idea that in my lifetime, my lifespan, I'm going to see this journey from the early days of building science all the way to net zero within my working career. It's just going to be phenomenal. So thanks for your ongoing commitment to that.
Yeah, we'd be thrilled to execute the knowledge that you bring to us and take it to our customers.
I got to give you one final story. You may recall, I live in a quality home. In 1992, I bought an R2000 certified quality home, had it built here in Cambridge. And I got to tell you this story. My neighbor at that time, he's a great friend. He's a Air Canada pilot. So he wandered over as the house was being built. Of course, that only took a couple of weeks, which was very cool in itself. As one neighbor said to me, "Oh, that's the house that you just add water to." It was kind of a cool concept of how quickly it went up. But he said to me, "So this R2000, is it worth it?" And he brought over his energy bills. But pretty much every year we'd sit in the deck and we'd look at his energy bills. And at the time he said, "Well, I don't know how long I'm going to live here." Well, here we are 29 years later. And every year my bills have been half of his bills every year. And geez, they're still half of my bills. So when you think about the investment, I paid for that a long, long time ago. More importantly, healthier, safer, more comfortable, and durable. So I have to give you thanks for building such a great product that my family's grown up in. Thanks for the opportunity today, and thanks for our long-term association.
Our absolute pleasure, Gord. Take care.
Take care.